Hi, and welcome back for another daily dose of anime recaps. In this episode, we'll be covering the 4th and 5th episodes of the newly released anime, More Than a Married Couple But Not Lovers. Before we begin, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and hit the bell icon, so you never miss an update from us. Beginning in the 6th episode, it's a bright new morning at the residence of the fake couple, Akari and Jirou. She calls him by his last name while they get done with their morning rituals in the bathroom. She hasn't done that in a while, wonders Jirou while brushing his teeth. She calls him by his last name again during breakfast. It doesn't seem like she's angry at him. Then why is she doing that? They discuss that the midterm updates are going to be posted on the app today, and they'll finally find out if their hard work is going to pay off. She seems in a really good mood except for using Jirou's last name. She has even offered to help him with his bed hair. But what's with the sudden shift in name? Jirou wonders what's going on, while Akari makes plans for them to eat all the fancy chocolate that Sachi has given her that night. Jirou decides to take Google's help like every other teenager in the world in this situation, making Kamo confused about his girlfriend's identity and existence. He admits that he's trying to use real-life crowdsourced knowledge for Akari. He asks Kamo if he and his wife have arguments. Of course, every married couple has their fair share of fights. Kamo recalls an incident when his wife was irritated with him the whole day, and he asked her if she was on her period, which is the most obvious question for men to use in arguments. Jirou understands that Kamo is a shining example of how to get a woman to hate a man. Kamo comments that it would help a lot if women just say whatever is on their mind, instead of expecting them to guess it. Meanwhile, Jirou gets a text from Akari about his shampoo preferences. She still seems pretty fine. They overhear Hamano rejecting a girl's proposal who is super into him. Kamo thinks that the rumors of Hamano being so popular with the girls is true. However, what does sneaking around like that say about these two? Jirou watches as Hamano hugs the girl, thanking her for falling in love with him. The boys go through a tremendous sense of utter defeat as they watch Hamano turning down the girl like a pro, accepting her request of calling her by her name at least. Jirou is sitting alone for some peace and quiet, reflecting on the things he wasn't mindful enough to notice about Akari. He remembers that she had asked him to call her by her first name the previous night. Back home, he's still overthinking. He hears Akari arrive and wonders if he should try to call her by her first name, just to check. He's undressing and about to be properly unclothed when Akari opens the door asking him about the midterm updates. She's trying to show him their ranking, while he desperately tries to hold his trousers together, protecting his dignity. However, when he sees they're on the 8th rank, he forgets everything about changing, and excitement takes over. She calls him Yakuin again while drying his hair. He whispers her first name over the sound of the hairdryer, and when she finally hears him say it, she sits on the couch all embarrassed. Has he finally hit the nail on the head? She responds by using his first name too. So she really did want him to say her first name. He keeps calling out her name, making her more embarrassed. She tries to hide her face and the blush that has crept up on her cheeks. She denies being embarrassed by attacking his face with the hairdryer. They're technically a married couple, and she'd prefer it if he used her first name to address her. She asks him to humor her, as they have a limited time left together. He agrees that she will eventually go back to being Watanabe, his classmate. He should call her Akari for the short span of time they are together. In the girls' locker room, Hamano sees that Akari and Jirou are on the 8th rank. She gives the bad news to Shiori on the bench. These two really love having a conversation on benches. Hamano tells her to up her game or lose Jirou. If she wants to date him, she needs to do more than his wife is doing. Telling her that Jirou and Akari might end up doing things more than kissing, Hamano is willing to set things up for her. Shiori faints hearing about Jirou doing something more than kissing. Hamano tells Jirou that Shiori has collapsed and advises him to visit her in the nurse's office. She guilts him into agreeing to see her. Watching him go, she wonders about what Shiori sees in a coward like him. Shiori receives the latest progress from Hamano in the nurse's room. She sets her hair and makeup, awaiting Jirou's arrival. She believes that she can go through with it this time. She pretends to be surprised when he arrives and thanks him for coming to see her. He finds out that Minami has already been to see her. Of course he has. They are married after all. She inquires about him and Akari. It seems like things are going well since they have got to the 8th rank. Jirou tells her that things are finally working out. However, they lose points a lot since they argue all the time. That makes Jirou ask her if things with Minami aren't getting more mature. She tells him that there's nothing like that happening between them. She believes that she'd be terrible at it, even if she tries doing it with someone she loves. He tells her that everyone's first time is precious, and nothing like that would happen to her. She asks him to practice kissing with her as a favor. She's smart, and finally listens to Hamano's advice. He is taken aback, asking why she wants him to practice. It's an obvious answer for her since he's the only one she can ask. They move closer with both of their hearts racing. Jirou decides that he has to go for it if Shiori is actually serious. He leans towards her, about to make the kiss happen. Shiori gets cold feet and stops him, saying that it'll be wrong since they aren't married. Well, it was her suggestion. They hear someone arriving in the nurse's room. It's Sachi, ready to take a nap. She sees the feet behind the curtains and is disgusted by people kissing when they are at school. She leaves from there. Jirou is on top of Shiori, and they have finally kissed during all that panic. Jirou steps back and apologizes to her frantically. She's cool and asks him not to worry about it. She asks him to go as she'll be fine by herself and watches him leave with an embarrassed face. Akari, on the other hand, is wondering why Jirou hasn't replied to her texts. She wants him to stop ignoring her. Sachi arrives there in a foul mood, not being able to take a nap. She tells him about the embarrassing scene she witnessed behind the curtains in the nurse's office. Jirou finally replies to Akari, telling her that she was visiting Shiori in the nurse's office. Akari puts two and two together, thinking that it was Jirou and Shiori who Sachi saw in the nurse's office in that position. At night, Jirou opens the fridge in the apartment and finds the chocolate that Akari was telling him about. He wonders why she's so late. Akari is sitting alone at a coffee shop while her friends text out of concern. She was supposed to hang out with them, but she didn't go. Minami works at the coffee shop, and his manager asked him to add extra whipped cream for Akari, who seems sad. Akari is happy after sipping her coffee with extra whipped cream. She reads the message on the coffee and figures that it's obvious on her face that she's feeling depressed. She is about to open the door to their apartment, wondering if Jirou really was with Shiori. She can't shake it out of her mind. She's feeling insecure as he had told her that Shiori was his first love. Kissing his first love surely must have been special for him. She thinks that if she opens the door, she'll find a changed Jirou and is dreading that. She finds him sleeping on the couch when she finally enters, with his clothes scattered everywhere. She starts gathering his clothes to tidy everything up like a good wife and unfolds the couch to make it a bed. That's when Sachi's text on her phone is shown, where she says that the chocolates have whiskey in them. Maybe Jirou has just passed out after eating them. She tries to wake him up, but he doesn't budge. She thinks that he was waiting for her since the table is all messy. She undresses and lays down next to him, but he still hasn't woken up. She asks the sleeping Jirou if this is what he did at the nurse's office, or maybe even more. She asks him to wait before getting his love while she's his wife. She can't handle all of the feelings that she's going through. The morning arrives and Jirou is astonished to find Akari sleeping next to him without her clothes. He's embarrassed and Akari decides to take full advantage of the situation. She tells him that he's the one who took her clothes off. She reproaches him for forgetting everything he did to her. That sends a shockwave through Jirou, and his world starts spinning. He wonders about what he did. He feels sickened with himself for forgetting whatever happened, as it was supposed to be the first time for both of them. She asks him if last night was really his first time, threatening to withhold dinner if he lies. He tells her that it surely was if it happened. He starts apologizing to her. She finally admits that she was lying, making him lose his mind. She starts pulling his hair when he admits that he's disappointed about still being a virgin. She covers his hair, telling him that she knows he was disappointed that his first time wasn't with Shiori, whom he loves. He can't hear anything with his ears covered. She tells him that she hates her. The 7th episode opens with Jirou and Kamo sitting on the rooftop playing video games. Kamo asks him if he has fought with his wife since he rushed there during break time. He may be avoiding her. He refuses and thinks that Akari is in fact quite normal after everything that happened. He gets triggered about sleeping with Akari when Kamo asks him a video game question, but shakes it off. Natsumi and Sachi offer to help Shiori take out the trash, since she can't do it alone. Sachi calls out to Jirou and Kamo when she sees them passing by there. She tells them to stop acting like kids and help out Shiori. This is the first time since Shiori and Jirou are face to face with each other since that fateful day in the nurse's room. They are both embarrassed to be face to face. Kamo makes this trash duty his whole life and universe when Natsumi asks him sweetly. This guy's future is worrisome to Jirou. They split split the task with Natsumi, Sachi, and Kamo taking out the bags and leaving a big one for Shiori and Jirou. Shiori requests Sachi to take the duty with her instead, making Jirou suffer a near-death trauma. He holds his heart like it's going to stop beating. Sachi agrees to do the duty with her, making Shiori extremely grateful by making her puppy dog eyes. The trio is hanging out in the middle of nature. Sachi and Natsumi want to talk to Akari about something, but can't decide who'll talk first. They play rock, paper, scissors, and it's Sachi's turn to talk. She asks Akari the most emotionally loaded question, inquiring about her feelings for Jirou. It's impossible that she didn't feel anything. Sachi's happy to see that she isn't denying feeling anything this time as Akari's stuttering. Natsumi questions her about Minami, whose name on the attendance list was enough to get Akari all excited. She tells him that Minami seems to be getting along with Shiori, and she doesn't want to get in their way. Sachi wants her to understand that it's nonsense since everyone's just pretending in the course. They don't want her to fall for Jirou just because she's going with the flow. They try to cheer her up, saying that she doesn't have to make a choice between the two guys. After saying bye to Akari, Natsumi and Sachi wonder if Shiori and Jirou are seeing each other. They may not be sure, but it's obvious that something happened between them. They want Akari to think about herself. It'd be great if something forces her to make a decision. They'd love to help her out somehow. That's when Natsumi spots the perfect thing in a shop's window and the two girls have an idea. At the apartment, Jirou is helping Akari tie a yakuta, which is the fancy word for a robe. Jirou doesn't see the point of her wearing that. However, she can't dress in her usual clothes when Minami's going to be seeing her. Jirou doesn't like that idea and tells her that she isn't going to be walking with Minami even if he is there. But a girl must stay alert and be prepared for all possible outcomes. Jirou wonders if she even considers him a man since she isn't prepared in front of him all the time. She asks him to select a mature ribbon to impress Minami, however, selects one herself and tells him to tie it. Why should he? Well, because he isn't supposed to be jealous. He might end up watching the fireworks alone on the balcony, while Akari and Minami enjoy themselves. He ties the ribbon after a lot of effort and tells her to tuck it in the front. She orders him to do it himself. He's embarrassed as he feels her skin from underneath the thin yakuta. He doesn't want to be the only one who's affected so much. He doesn't know that Akari is affected just as much with her soft breaths. She thanks him with a red face. At the festival, Sachi and Natsumi compliment Akari on her light blue yakuta. They tell her that Minami will be arriving with his friend shortly. They tell her to be confident in her yakuta and be prepared to spend so much time with Minami. However, Akari is thinking about Jirou, who helped her tie this yukata. She wonders if she'd be able to be more comfortable with Jirou and cheer for his relationship with Shiori if she starts spending more time with Minami and sees his face every day. Minami's friends arrive, however, he is nowhere in sight. Apparently, he was called into work. Terafune apologizes to Akari for not being able to bring Minami, and she dismisses his apology. He offers to buy her something instead. He's flirting with her, and his friends take him away. The girls figure out that he has a crush on Akari. The girls leave to get dessert, leaving Akari behind. She's filled with her thoughts. She got ready for Minami and wore the yukata for him. She even spent more time styling her hair. But why does she feel so relieved after learning that Minami isn't going to show up? She can continue to like and pursue Minami and be with Jirou like she does. However, this thought scares her when neither of them like her back. On the other hand, Terafune is trying to catch fish for Akari because he likes seafood. Akari decides not to give up when everyone is supporting her. She has made up her mind to visit him at his workplace. That's when she hears people swooning over someone. She turns around and is hurt to see Minami walking through the stalls with Shiori. When the girls arrive, she tries to hide her pain from them. They tell her to go home, promising that they'll find another chance for her and Minami. She thanks her friends. Minami and Shiori are walking under the moonlight. It's revealed that they are just passing through the festival after coming back from grocery shopping. They go their separate ways after appreciating each other for making efforts in this practical. Left alone, Shiori wonders if Jirou is going to the firework festival. Jirou is out on the balcony wondering if Akari is actually having fun with Minami. Furthermore, does their definition of fun include kissing, holding hands, and hugging? He knows that he has done all of these things with Akari, but Minami will be her boyfriend. He'll just go back to being her classmate after they switch partners. They have been living together for so long, will nothing be left once they are no longer a couple? He gets a call from Akari and hears her crying on the other end of the line. He runs to get her, asking her where she is. He can't hear her being this upset. He finds her sitting outside the door, crying nonstop. She apologizes to him and everyone who's working so hard to help her, but she doesn't know how to help herself. He wipes her tears away, making her more emotional. She hugs him and cries even more. The next scene shows them watching the fireworks from their balcony. She asks him if he's jealous again, and is happy to see that he doesn't refuse. She tells him to tie the ribbon any way he likes, and as he attempts to do so for the second time this day, Minami is all forgotten in the background. As the fireworks continue, she asks him to call her name. He holds her from behind and says her name, losing themselves in the moment. The sound of fireworks brings them back to reality. She thanks him for not asking what happened today, and he replies that he isn't interested. They are supposed to help each other as husband and wife. However, he knows that he was relieved when he found out that Akari was back home. He is ready to support her with Minami, but knows that this is the last time that they'll be watching the fireworks from their balcony together. The 8th episode starts with Shiori thinking about Jirou and her kiss. They haven't been able to talk since then. Jirou, on the other hand, is lying on his bed playing a video game. The video game again shows a scenario of his actual life, where the hero has to choose between the two princesses, or he puts the well-being of the whole kingdom at risk. Of course, he doesn't have a kingdom to think about. However, he needs to get his feelings in check. Akari is looking at her horoscope on her bed when she finds out that her luck in love is just as vague as she thought. The next morning, Akari and Jirou look at their ranking. Let's see if they made it to the A rank. They're in 13th position. 3 couples have beat them to it. Akari tries to sound disappointed, but there's a hint of a smile on her face. She knows that now they have to live with each other for another month. Jirou is taking a long bath, with thoughts about Akari going through his bed. He remembers the night of the festival and how he still doesn't know what happened that made Akari run home crying. He figures that Akari still wants to change partners, even after crying so much. Maybe that's how much she wants to be with Minami. Just then, Akari bursts into the bathroom, crying her eyes out. Jirou is obviously awkward since he's in the middle of a bath. However, he forgets about it when she tells him there's a creep following her. He asks who the creep is, and not surprisingly, it's a spider that she's referring to. He is annoyed at her for interrupting his bath for a stupid spider, but she tries to drag him to the living room to deal with the spider, fully unclothed. Of course, he manages to get dressed first. She brings him to the last seen location of the spider, which is currently nowhere to be seen. He asks her how big it was. Her hand gesture shows that it wasn't more than 2 centimeters big, which is as tiny as these spiders can get. Size doesn't matter to Akari though. She can't handle spiders and isn't going to share her apartment with it definitely. Jirou is silently relieved. He doesn't want to deal with a huge spider either. During all this spider frenzy, Akari starts feeling hungry and wants a snack. She takes him to the kitchen, and a little while later they're both sitting comfortably after eating their delicious snack. Akari decides to do her nails, but Jirou wants to make sure exactly how long he is supposed to sit there. He can always come back when she calls for him again. Akari doesn't want to take a chance, and isn't going to let him leave her alone at all until he gets rid of the spider. This fact is proven when she even takes him to the washroom with her. She asks for him to cover his ears while he waits for her outside the washroom door. He does as he's told, but he can't help his imagination either. He just wants her to come out while his conscience is still alive. She comes out apologizing to him. He thinks that it saved him time for coming back and enters the washroom while she waits for him outside. Akari is really embarrassed and wants to disappear for asking him to come to the washroom with her. She knows that Jirou would have never said no. That's why she asked him. He comes out and holds out his hands for her. She asks the most important question at the moment, which is whether he washed his hands. Yes, he has, and she's satisfied. Akari continues painting her nails on the couch, making Jirou acknowledge that he really is living with a guy Yaru, who has forgotten all about being scared. She asks him to feed her some of his ice cream. He wants her to get another one, or another spoon at least. He is worried about an indirect kiss, which is childish according to Akari. She finally gets him to feed her a spoonful of ice cream. She has noticed that he's eating vanilla ice cream now, when he used to like chocolate. Her taste may be rubbing off on him. She presents a hypothetical situation in front of him, where if they had met under different circumstances, what would have happened? Jirou thinks that they would have never talked. However, she thinks she would have wanted to meet a Jirou who wasn't her husband. He would have been hilarious with all his gloom and doom on display for her. Of course, they wouldn't have hit it off since they are so different. Akari doesn't believe that the fifth pair is actually dating, even if they are so different from each other. Jirou believes that they are the exception, not the rule. Akari flings a question at him that shocks him to the core. She asks if they should start dating as well. She turns out to be joking. While she goes back to being normal, he wonders why he actually thought about what she said for a second. What would his answer be if she was serious? Akari watches him, and she also wonders about the possibility of them if she hadn't known that he loved someone else. That's when she spots the spider lurking behind the curtain, scaring her to death. She holds him tightly, making him feel all kinds of different sensations. She wants him to do something about the spider, and he uses all of his strength to get rid of it. After his mission is successful, he suggests her to buy a spray the next time a spider situation arises. She doesn't take him seriously, but he makes a joke saying that it will come in handy if her husband hates bugs. They bid goodnight to each other, with Jirou telling her that he'd be counting on her for at least a bit longer. As he goes to sleep, Akari is lying awake thinking about everything that happened. She finally goes to sleep dreaming about all the good and colorful things in the world. Shiori is standing on her balcony, gazing at the stars. Minami arrives there looking for her. They both sit down on the couch inside when Shiori starts talking to him about her and Jirou in hidden language so he doesn't find out. She's worried that Jirou didn't like that they kissed, and she doesn't know how to face him anymore. However, she has realized that she really loves him after that kiss. She asks him what she should do since she doesn't know how to confess her feelings. Minami thinks that the friend Shiori is talking about should confess her feelings because that's the guy she was able to fall in love with. Minami seems to have figured out that Shiori was actually talking about herself and not her friend. Shiori has a lack of self-confidence, and that's what Minami tells her at night. The next morning, Hamano tells her the same thing while trying to make her buy an off-shoulder top to impress Jirou. Hamano wants her to pick out something that she likes for her. She seems to Shiori to want to wear an outfit of her choice the next time they go out. Of course, Shiori doesn't read too much into it and says that she understands why every girl is a fan of Hamano. She wants Shiori to go and hug Jirou right that instant. Hamano's husband, Terafune, arrives there telling them that he and Minami are going out all night for karaoke, suggesting that the two of them would have a sleepover. Hamano seems embarrassed by the idea. However, Shiori is excited by it. Looks like he knows how much Hamano likes her. He really is a super considerate husband. At night, they are sitting in Minami's work cafe, where the manager is complimenting him for working so hard. He asks Minami about his older brother. However, Minami doesn't seem to want to talk about him. The manager is apparently Kamo's brother too. Terafune is struck with Akari and doesn't know what Jirou has that he doesn't. We love stories about unrequited love. Hamano and Shiori are having their girls' night out at the restaurant, discussing their sleeping situation for the night. Hamano seems embarrassed about the prospect of sharing a bed or sofa with Shiori. Hamano can't help but cough when Shiori suggests that they should take a bath together as well. They talk about their childhood pictures, and Shiori tells her that most of the pictures she has are with Jirou. Hamano purses her lips at that moment. It is, after all, so obvious. Hamano excuses herself, saying that her mom is calling her and she needs to go home to her family and can't have a sleepover with her. She's obviously making it up and doesn't want her feelings for Shiori to increase. Jirou is having dinner with Kamo. How did he end up eating dinner with the same guy he sees all the time? Kamo's married life is okay. However, not as blissful as Jirou's. He doesn't buy that they could have kissed accidentally. Kamo isn't happy with him having so much luck for having such an exciting married life. Shiori is walking alone through the streets, overthinking everything regarding Jirou. Kamo wants to kiss Jirou to override his kiss with his wife. That's when Shiori sees them from the window. Jirou is really embarrassed and runs away from there, leaving Kamo without his kiss. Jirou catches up with Shiori, who thinks that she is just hallucinating kisses everywhere she goes. Jirou tells her that it was an accident, and she misunderstands that he is talking about their kiss. They soon realize, all embarrassed, that they are talking about different things. He apologizes to her and offers to carry the heavy bag in her hand. They are walking together and Jirou wonders if it would have been like this if they were married. Shiori says the same thought out loud as well, but doesn't complete her sentence. They start apologizing about the kiss in the nurse's office as well. She thanks him for teaching her the ways of kissing, and their hands touch. Jirou is confused if she wants to stay his friend even after saying all this to him. They are about to kiss when Shiori backs away. They decide to start walking towards their destination again. A brand new morning at the school and the summer breaks are starting. The students have to continue their practice for the breaks to earn extra points. Jirou knows that his practical with Akari is going smoothly, but believes she won't prefer it if they are stuck together for the next semester as well. His thoughts roam to Shiori and her plans for the summer break. Kamo tells Jirou about his brother's cafe, where he will be working overnight for the summer event. He obviously needs some money for the 2D special events. Jirou is shocked that Kamo has signed him up for the job as well. How will he manage it? Staying overnight is torture for unsociable people like him. Kamo agrees wholeheartedly, sharing his own pains of being a wallflower. He doesn't know how he will survive amongst the party people. But Kamo is desperate. He needs the money for Marin. Shiori arrives there looking at the flyer for the job. She tells him that she and Hamano have also applied for this job. Shiori is pleased to find that Jirou has applied for the job as well. They plan to have fun together during the job. It's a win-win situation for him. He gets to work overnight with Shiori. Jirou starts imagining Shiori with all the cute situations that they might encounter if they spend time together. He can't help but be excited about that. Kamo tells him to take his wife's permission. He mentions that she might not have a problem and will bring home other guys while he's out working. Jirou reaches home in the evening and finds Akari coming out of her room in a swimsuit. She asks him if it suits her, however he can't stop blushing. He doesn't think it has enough fabric to qualify to be a swimsuit. She's going to the beach and wants to try the other swimsuit that she has bought. Jirou will go completely red if she comes out wearing another suit like that. She thinks he looks perverted. However, he can't help it. There is not enough fabric at all. She covers herself up in his jacket, making him ask if there are any guys going with them to the beach. He thinks he will feel assured if there is a guy with them, since she's dressed like this. She isn't going to the beach with the girls, but they have found a part-time job at a cafe by the beach. They're going to live there starting next Friday. He tells her that he is also going to work, which is hard for her to imagine. He finally reveals that Shiori will be there too, which makes her tighten her fists. She thinks that's the real reason. If he goes alone, he'll just end up eating instant noodles. They will have to separate for a while. She doesn't think he will feel lonely since Shiori will be there. She gets mad and sits on top of him, demanding him to say that he will feel lonely. He gets agitated because they have to part ways eventually. They will go back home after the summer. She promises that she won't move until he says it. She finally gets him to admit it, and they hug, which charges their whole aura with electricity. They will lose points for the 3 days of staying apart, so they have to make some points now. He thinks that it's time for her to change out of the swimsuit, which is distracting him a lot. He tells her that he doesn't hate it. He is a man, after all. She decides that she will wear the other swimsuit and proposes that they should go to the beach together. She'll use this swimsuit just for him. She promises to make his summer full of fun, which he won't be able to experience with video games. They find that the flyers that they have are identical. They might just have the same destination. The next morning is full of summer vibes and the whole crew is getting off a boat on the beach. Shiori looks at Jirou and says that she needs to work harder. Minami shows everyone the cabin that they will be staying at, where Terafune is waiting for them. Akari comments about Minami's good looks, which he is overheard by Jirou. They all start moving to their rooms. The girls are impressed with their room and plan to play cards at night with everyone. The girls look cute in uniforms given to them by the cafe. Hamano thinks the uniform is too girly for her as she always dresses sporty, and Shiori makes her feel better about it. At the cafe, the new staff is being briefed about the work. Kamo is glad to have Jirou with him since the fancy interior is making him uneasy. He seems to have put a lot of effort into his outfit. Apparently, his brother bought all those new clothes for him, asking him to be cheerful like him. Kamo thinks he has a chance to be with a Gyaru, since he has put on his lucky bracelet. Let's see if the bracelet rubs its luck off on him. Jirou thinks about how he got lucky to live with Shiori. She walks over to him and with all the confidence asks him if he's working the kitchen or the hall. Of course, the shy Jirou wants to work in the kitchen. She feels more assured with someone she knows, so she wants to work in the kitchen as well. These two are already hitting it off. Akari is at work too, where Minami is teaching her how to work the register. Terafune is looking at both of them with a displeased expression on his face. Sachi and Natsumi mock him because he is so predictable with his crush on Akari. They hit his sour spot, asking if it doesn't bother him that his crush likes his friend. He tells them that his gut says that nothing is going to happen between Minami and Akari. The girls are going to get the story behind this gut feeling of him using all their power and charm. Hamano has predictably chosen a kitchen to work alongside Shiori. She advises Shiori to show off her femininity to Jirou. It's high time that Shiori graduates from being a childhood friend to a lover. They call Jirou over to help them during a task, while Hamano leaves sneakily, dragging Kamo with her. Jirou and Shiori start practicing their skills of putting ice cream in the drink, and find it harder than it sounds. She starts teaching him how to put the cream perfectly and moves closer, which alerts him. He messes up the cream when she presses up against him and the cream falls on their faces. They start laughing, looking at their cream-filled faces. He helps wipe off the cream from her face, and Shiori knows that she can't miss this opportunity. She doesn't let go of his hand and asks him to look at her more closely. They start leaning towards each other. They might be about to kiss for the second time. However, that's when she spots Sachi and Natsumi watching them through the door, which runs a shockwave through Shiori. Shiori is holding her face thinking that Jirou will start avoiding her, while Sachi and Natsumi are doing their duty in the kitchen. The girls leave, apologizing for causing the interruption. Has the damage been done already? Jirou and Shiori apologize to each other, both thinking to themselves that the summer has just begun and they should take their time instead of rushing into anything. Jirou believes that he should cross the childhood friends line that they have drawn if he wants to stay closer to Shiori. Kamo arrives there asking him if he has brought his summer trunks. The scene shifts to the whole gang at the beach, in their swimsuits soaking up the sun. Kamo and Jirou are at the beach with all the popular kids. Who would have imagined that? Jirou is more surprised at Akari wearing a one-piece swimsuit, as she usually wears revealing clothes. He remembers her saying that she will only wear the revealing swimsuit for him. He can't believe that she has actually done that. Shiori and Hamano tease Jirou and Kamo about not bringing their swim trunks. Shiori invites them to come to the hotel with them. Who would have thought that Shiori could be so forward? The 10th episode starts with Kamo showing off his skills at building sandcastles, which impresses Shiori. Jirou and Kamo decide that they aren't going to see girls in swimsuits so closely after this. So, Jirou starts looking at Shiori and admiring her. Jirou and Shiori start making a tunnel for the castle by making their hands meet in the middle. Akari is looking at Jirou getting embarrassed with Shiori and doesn't like it at all. Everyone does rock, paper, and scissors to decide who will go to buy refreshments. Akari and Jirou lose, thus they are stuck with each other once again. They find a lot of couples crowding the shop area and are confused. That's when they find a flyer where it says there's a 20% off discount for couples. They decide to take advantage of that and pretend to be a couple. They may be a fake couple, but are still husband and wife, aren't they? Akari works her charm on the shopkeeper and manages to get them free noodles and refreshments as well. When Jirou comes back from getting their food, he finds Akari surrounded by boys. He has to keep a fake smile plastered on his face while approaching them. Akari knows that they are hitting on her, and one of them holds her shoulder. She is obviously uncomfortable with them. He takes them away from those guys and tells them to back off because she is his wife. He starts apologizing to her for calling her her wife after they leave. She gets annoyed at him for apologizing and actually thought that he was cool. If he always keeps apologizing, he's never going to get a girlfriend. Akari wants him to show his masculine side and drags him back towards the rest of the gang. Shiori asks about Hamano's sunburn in the locker room, which makes her nervous and flustered. She's too deeply in love with her. The trio of Sachi, Natsumi, and Akari are taking a bath in the tub, having their own girl talk. Sachi has her own boyfriend problems, and her friends listen to them. Shiori and Hamano have also arrived there and sit in the tub a little further away. They ask Akari about her love life. Maybe the virgin Jirou has more fantasies about girls now after living with her. Shiori overhears that Jirou is lazy at home, but her expressions remain unreadable. The trio invites Hamano and Shiori to join their girl talk. Hamano goes into a rant about her problems, saying that she wishes the guy she likes noticed her more. Sachi and Natsumi agree with her wholeheartedly. They just want to be loved too. Akari and Shiori talk about how they don't have much experience for this kind of talk and bond a little on their lack of boy knowledge. They are both thinking about Jirou. Akari Akari and Jirou run into each other at the bath area. She's worried that he's sunburned and applies sunscreen on him. She starts tickling him and ends up holding him. She thinks he's been keeping a distance since they arrived there. She acts all cool when Sachi arrives there, disturbing their little moment. Jirou stands there getting drinks for them. He thinks he made Akari angry. He receives a text from her the next second, asking him to come to the beach store in 10 minutes. Akari gives him a deathly glare from afar, which means that he has to go. Back at the cabin, everyone is wondering where Akari and Jirou are. Shiori is confused to hear that they are both at the convenience store. Hamano suggests that they should go out to boost her mood too. At the store, Akari gets angry at Jirou for apologizing when he doesn't even know what she's mad about. She opens her jacket to reveal the swimsuit. She actually meant it when she said that she'll only wear it for him. She's glad that she got to come to the beach with him. She thinks that he is ignoring her as if she is the only one having fun. Akari sounds jealous at this point. According to him, it's Akari who will be embarrassed if people see them together, which is why he keeps his distance. However, it's her freedom to be with whoever she wants. She's the same strong-willed Akari who doesn't care about anyone else. She pulls him towards herself, asking him to look at her the way he does at home. She doesn't like that they aren't a couple once they leave the house, or when he calls her by her last name. He compares her to a jealous girlfriend, making her face go red. She doesn't agree that she's jealous of his girlfriend. She just doesn't want him to treat her like she's not important. They hear Hamano and Shiori walking towards them and hide in the store together with Jirou on top of Akari. He mentions that he doesn't want Shiori to see them, which upsets her. She puts so much effort into her swimsuit. They are so close and Jirou still doesn't have her on his mind. She thinks that pursuing Minami is much happier. However, she fears going apart from Jirou. She feels depressed that he likes Shiori, even though she knew it from the first day they met. She is shocked when she tells him that he'll leave her eventually. Hamano hears someone talking, which scares Shiori. She thinks she's paranoid when she finds no one there. However, Akari hits Jirou as his sweat drips on her chest. That sound makes Shiori take Hamano away from there, being all scared. He tells her that he won't change if she doesn't mean any of the things she asked him to do. He apologizes to her when she starts crying. Jirou starts hyperventilating and drops on the floor, and she takes him to the hospital. He had a minor heat stroke according to the doctor. They sit awkwardly on the hospital bench. She gets mad at him for saying that she wanted him to look at her, and he says that she only feels pity for him. She wants them to get to know each other better so they can have more fun together. Looking at Akari's smiling face makes him think of many things about their 4 months together. A sunny morning at the beach is welcomed by Shiori in her sleeping bag, thinking about her previous night. Last night, she and Hamano were standing on the balcony when she saw Akari coming back saying that she fell asleep while stargazing. Then she saw Jirou walking back towards the cabin. Was he at the beach too? Jirou runs into Shiori in the morning and finds her in very sexy pajamas. She is about to ask him a question but changes her mind and they both leave. He finds Akari in the bathroom and starts brushing his teeth. She asks him if he's thinking about what happened last night, teasing him on purpose. This makes him choke on his toothpaste, making Akari leave. He's glad that she's laughing it off instead of making him feel awkward. Jirou and Shiori are working in the kitchen at the cafe when he asks her if she's going to the event for courage test that night. Shiori doesn't think she can do it and tells him about the voices she heard at the beach. Jirou proposes that they should be on the same team. She thanks him, calling his thoughtfulness one of the things she likes most about him. Hearing this, Jirou is surprised and Shiori gets embarrassed. She apologizes for saying something so weird and leaves to take out the trash. He's thinking about what she said when Kamo whispers in his ear, making him jump with fear. Kamo is going off at him for enjoying his youth and inviting her to the game with that perverted look of his. Kamo gives him the reality check that Shiori doesn't like him, but only his personality. Kamo brags about being the brother of the manager, saying that the courage test is the biggest activity here. The grouping is done by drawing lots, and he can rig the lots really easily. He asks for 30 gems in return for rigging the lots, so he can be with Shiori's group. The girls draw lots and find pictures of random things. Drawing lots sucks in this case. Shiori has a sunflower on her lot. Hamano tries to make her feel better about being scared, telling her that her partner will lead her so she doesn't have to worry. Hamano brings the information to Kamo, telling him that Shiori's lot is a sunflower. He thinks that Shiori would have objected to rigging the lots. That's why he had to enlist Hamano's help. Hamano tells him that he's a decent guy for helping out his friend. Hamano doesn't want him to call her a good person because she's using his friend. Kamo is relieved that she didn't find out everything, thinking about how Jirou asked him to pair Akari up with Minami. The pairs are all made up at night, with Akari and Minami together and Jirou with Shiori. Sachi is paired up with Himano, and Natsumi is with Kamo. There have been colored cones left at 4 sites, and they have to go with their own starting points. Jirou looks at Minami and Akari for a second and goes towards Shiori. Akari is scared and wants to end it already. Minami holds her hand. He doesn't know that she'd get scared so easily. He asks her if holding hands is helping her, and of course she thinks that holding hands is much better. She looks at their hands and thinks that even though Minami and Jirou are both guys, the feeling of being close is different with both of them. She scolds herself for thinking about Jirou. She tells Minami that they should check the chats and see how the other teams are doing. However, she can't find her smartphone. Back with the gang, Shiori comes running to Himano because she was so scared. Kamo asks if there were any developments between them. He tells them that there wasn't much happening since Shiori was constantly terrified. Jirou finds out that Akari still isn't back and thinks that she must be enjoying being with Minami out in the dark with no one around. He is really irritated right now. That's when it starts raining. Minami calls and tells them that Akari and he got separated while looking for the phone. The manager assures Jirou that Akari isn't in any danger since the area is privately owned. Everyone leaves and Jirou stands there getting soaked in the rain. He tells Shiori that he's going to look for Akari. Akari is walking alone between the trees, not knowing what to do. She doesn't even have her phone. She's at a crossroads and doesn't know where to go since she let Minami lead her everywhere. Akari is sad that she always makes other people do stuff for her. Minami finds her sitting there alone, while Jirou finds her phone getting drenched in the rain. Minami apologizes to her and takes her to a gazebo nearby. They wait for the rain to be over so they can start going back. Akari apologizes to him for causing so much trouble. However, he dismisses her apology. He laughs at her for thinking that he was Jirou. She keeps asking him to stop laughing. He tells her that her red face isn't convincing at all and thinks that it's Jirou she loves. Jirou is still trying to find Akari, and Shiori arrives there with an umbrella. She tells him that Minami has found Akari. However, he doesn't look relieved. He's impressed with Shiori for coming all the way just to tell him this, because he wasn't reading his messages. He believes that he should have just waited if Minami was going to find her anyway. Shiori envies Akari for knowing a different side of Jirou than she has ever seen. She has never seen her husband. He asks her how things are going with Minami after they practiced in the nurse's room. She tells him that she's shaken because she remembers how they kissed. She hasn't done anything like that since. He's her first kiss. However, is this the same for him? He doesn't reply to the question, and she starts to walk away. He stops her by holding her hand and she hugs him. She says that being childhood friends won't be enough for them to be together once they grow up. She asks him to show her his special side if Akari isn't important to him. On the other hand, Minami refers to Akari as his younger sister. He's turning her down, but she wants to try because she promised Jirou that they will change partners. She asks him if his feeling towards her will change if they are together in a marriage practical. He tells her that he knows she's interested in him, but he's in love with someone else. It's not Shiori he likes, but someone Akari doesn't know at all. His is an unrequited love that has no future, and he feels bad for making her go through the same thing. That's why he was happy listening to Jirou's name from her mouth. She asks him what happens if Jirou loves someone else too. He tells her that it's up to how hard she tries. Jirou may end up choosing her. What if she tells him and things get weird between them? He wants her to enjoy her love this time. She doesn't want him to apologize for her falling in love with him since it was fun for her. She promises him that she'll try hard with Jirou so she doesn't have any regrets. She falls asleep on his shoulder, while he hopes that Shiori is also happy with the person she loves. Jirou and Shiori are kissing as the rain clears away. Episode 12 begins with Akari at a temple, praying to the gods about the person who's on her mind who has changed since last time. She thinks back to the night of the rain when Jirou and Shiori came back to the cabin blushing. Everyone thinks that something scandalous happened between them. She tells the gods that she will do everything she can, but she just needs a favor. The scene shifts to Shiori, who is embarrassed for kissing Jirou. She's glad that summer break started right after that. She doesn't want to think about Jirou and Akari kissing before he kisses her. She feels like someone he's having an affair with, even after having a wife. Holding her dress, she wonders how he felt when they kissed. Jirou is also thinking about their kiss, with this video game showing his real-life situation. He doesn't think that Shiori hated their kiss. However, Shiori kept apologizing afterward and told him to head back. He is so confused because of her actions and reactions. He doesn't have any idea, so he decides to go buy some cola, potato chips, and manga for now. At the store, he runs into Shiori, who's also getting the same manga as him. She never thought they'd meet in a place like this. He is surprised to find out that she talks about him with her little brother as well, for whom she is getting the manga. He lets her take the last copy of the manga. He's relieved that they aren't being awkward. It starts raining as they stand outside the store. He doesn't know if he should talk about their future with her right now. She invites him to her place so they can talk more till the rain is over. He stands outside her door with his hands sweating like crazy. Sitting on her couch, he finds her apartment pretty clean, telling her that it reminds him of his place. She sits down next to him and he compliments her coffee. She blushes after listening to him praise her. He tries to read the manga but can't take a single word with Shiori sitting a few inches away. He looks at her outfit, her slender wrist and pale skin, her slim figure and long eyelashes. They make some small talk and Shiori goes inside the room. Shiori thinks that she was too pushy for inviting him over. Was he bored? Did he want to leave? On the other hand, Jirou wonders if she hates him now. She might be fed up because he can't take the lead. He should be happy that Shiori kissed him, since she never makes the first move. She comes out telling him to watch the double rainbow outside. She takes a selfie with him and the rainbow. He decides that now is the time to take the next step, and she shows him a picture from the beach with the whole gang. He looks at Akari's happy face and changes his mind about saying anything to Shiori. He knows that he's unable to understand his own feelings. Where does friendship end and love begin? He's at home overthinking about everything. He gets a text from Akari after months. She asks him to meet her in 2 hours, saying it's a date. Jirou is confused about why she wants to meet since they have never gone out except for the grocery shopping trips. Is she going to make him buy her a ton of clothes? He wonders if he should decline. He doesn't even have anything to wear to walk around with a Gyaru. He arrives at the station 10 minutes early in a safe fashion choice, which is a plain white t-shirt. He starts thinking that she isn't going to show up, but she arrives after running really fast. He tells her that he didn't think she'd show up since they never go out. There's no way she wouldn't have shown up after putting so much effort into getting ready. He compliments her on her clothes and he's shocked to hear that she wanted to suit his taste. She drags him to a cafe and is excited for him to try the coffee. She tries his coffee and mocks him for thinking about the indirect kiss. The next stop is a cat cafe. He's happy looking at her playing with the cats with a smile. If they weren't a married couple, he would have never found out about this side of hers. They go shopping and then to an arcade. Playing video games might be fun, but this is more enjoyable for him. It's weird for them to go to different places when they used to go home to the same place. She goes to buy a charm from a shrine, and Jirou runs after her. Shiori meets them together and is surprised. She tells Akari that she's going to the shrine as well, and both of them decide to race there. They both start the race and witness different points of a relationship on their journey. They both arrive at the shrine together and find an old couple. They smile when they find out that the old man's name is also Jirou. The three youngsters stand at the shrine when Jirou realizes that this place is famous for fulfilling romantic wishes. The episode ends when he starts to pray as well. What did Jirou pray about at the shrine? Will Akari find success in pursuing Jirou? How are Jirou and Shiori going to figure out their relationship status? We can't wait to find out how this story will unfold in the next episodes of More Than a Married Couple, But Not Lovers. And if you're a subscriber with notifications enabled, you'll find out soon enough as well.